This episode of Scott Bromley's Internet Rabbit Hole is brought to you by Audible. Here's a weird thought. If it wasn't for Saturday Night Live, we might not have PlayStation Now. It's time to jump in the Internet Rabbit Hole. So this morning, I was playing Peggle 2 on my Xbox One for like the billionth time with an old episode of SNL snapped in the corner when I started thinking about how amazing it is we're living in a time where we can actually download games without having to leave our homes, which led me to Wikipedia to research the history of Xbox Live, specifically Xbox Live Arcade, when I wondered if XBLA was the first time we could download games. A quick Google search revealed I was wrong. Completely, totally wrong.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Okay, so it was on Wikipedia where I learned that in Europe, Dreamcast owners could order a copy of Choo Choo Rocket if they connected to Dreamcast's online Dream Arena. See how I said order and not download? That's because Dreamcast was shipped with the 56K modem, but that could be swapped out with the broadband adapter, which, at least according to the Wikipedia article, can still be used to play Phantasy Star Online, the same game that was one of the few GameCube games to use its removable modem accessory. But believe it or not, the GameCube wasn't the first Nintendo console to go online. In fact, another Google search revealed that the Nintendo 64 went online in Japan, and only if you had the disk drive add-on. So of course I went back over to Wikipedia, where I learned the Nintendo 64's RANnet let disk drive owners play each other online and download demos of unreleased games. But this still wasn't the first time a Nintendo console allowed you to download games.
Say what?
That honor goes to the Super Nintendo.
Double take.
Yep. The Super Nintendo let you download games. See, in Japan, there was a Super Famicom adapter called the Satellaview that would connect to your television's coax cable and then broadcast a satellite signal at certain times of the day to your console. And that would then download a game to a special cartridge. So then I went over to YouTube to see what these games look like, and I got sad. Not because they look terrible, but because, oh, God, do I wish we had them in America. What kind of games you're asking? Oh, I don't know, F-Zero 2? And 16-bit remakes of Excitebike and motherfucking The Legend of Zelda. There's an interesting side note. All of those games had BS attached to the title. And I think it's BS that they weren't released in America. And those videos led me to a promo video talking about the Sega channel, an American cable channel that used a special cartridge that hooked up to your cable box and console, like an Xbox One, and would stream up to 50 different games a month to your Genesis in 1994. But apparently, that wasn't the first time we downloaded games to our consoles. 9 years before the Sega channel, in 1983, a company called Control Video released the Game Line cartridge for the Atari 2600. The Game Line was just this massive brick that you would shove into your 2600 that had a teeny tiny little modem on board, which would let you download games to your console. Only problem was, the games sucked. And it launched the same year the video game industry crashed. However, I went back to Wikipedia, where I learned Control Video eventually became a company called Quantum Link, which linked Commodore 64 and Commodore 128 users together with primitive versions of chat rooms, email, and instant messaging. And get this, Quantum Link eventually became known as America Online, which eventually merged with Time Warner in the year 2000. And Warner Communications purchased Atari in 1976 from its founder Nolan Bushnell, who, according to a Time magazine article I found, thought of an idea similar to GameLine and Quantum Link based on his experience using ARPANET, which was essentially the very first internet, his college, in the 1960s. And ARPANET, coincidentally, was used to distribute online the very first video game ever, Space War, to other colleges across the country that had a computer powerful enough to run it in the 60s and early 70s. So what does SNL have to do with downloadable games? Well, here's where it gets interesting and a little thin on the premise, but stick with me, it'll make sense in a second. So, in 1981, Atari's closest competitor, Mattel's Intellivision, launched a service called the Intellivision Play Cable, which sent me back over to YouTube to see if I could find any commercials for the service. And boy, did I ever. In fact, at the start of this particular one, there's a production slate that lists Broadway Video as the company behind the ad. You guys recognize this logo, right? Plays at the end of every episode of Jimmy Fallon, SNL, Conan O'Brien, and that one show that has the guy that looks like me that, you know, the internet loves pointing out at every opportunity. I get it. I have tiny eyes. I part my hair to the side. I look like a horrible freak show. I get it. I get it. Blame my parents. But I'm getting off track. That logo is recognizable because Broadway Video is Lorne Michaels' production company, and Lorne Michaels created SNL in 1975 by pulling writers and actors from the National Lampoon stage and radio show to help him out. Actors like John Belushi, who would later star in National Lampoon's Animal House, which was based on stories written by Chris Miller for National Lampoon magazine about his experiences in the Alpha Delta Phi frat house at Dartmouth. So then, of course, I went back to Wikipedia, where I learned that Alpha Delta Phi not only had Teddy and Franklin Roosevelt as members, but Ben Stein as well. You guys remember Ben Stein, right? From Win Ben Stein's Money with Jimmy Kimmel, and his incredible performance in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Bueller.
So then I went to Ben Stein's IMDb page where I learned he voiced a character on the Earthworm Jim TV show, a TV show based on a game made by Shiny Entertainment, a company founded by David Perry, the same David Perry that founded Gaikai, the cloud-based streaming service that will allow PS4 owners to stream games on demand someday in the future. Just like the Sega Channel did in 1994 with Earthworm Jim. Woo-hoo! And that is how, by the loosest of internet threads possible, Saturday Night Live had a hand in the evolution of downloadable video games. Well, that's all the time I have for you guys this week. Thanks for traveling with me through this internet rabbit hole. If you guys like this video, share it with your friends, and if I left something out, let me know about it in the comments below. I might just address it in a future episode. And as always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I'm Scott Bromley saying, don't delete your internet history, because I have a lot of these episodes I'm contractually obligated to make, and I'm running out of ideas. Oh, good. You're still here. Let me tell you guys about Audible. Audible lets you download and listen to over 150,000 audiobooks, like, say, Live from New York, an uncensored history of Saturday Night Live by Tom Shales and James Andrew Miller, on any sort of iOS, Android, or headphone jack-enabled device with an internet connection. Plus, if you go to audiblepodcast.com/rev3games, you'll not only help out Rev3 Games, but you'll get an audiobook download of your choosing, absolutely free with your 30-day free trial membership. So what are you guys waiting for? Go get a free audiobook. You might just learn something.
Oh my God!
Whew, that's a lot of thumbs down. I guess it's my ugly face or my terrible delivery. I'm sure you'll tell me.